Oh, and with that, welcome to another Saturday Night Synthesis. I'm Alex. We've got a great show tonight. It's going to be hard to top that, though. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about a piece of modular equipment that some of this music is made on, the Make Noise Phonogene Eurorack module. It should be good. It's going to be good for people who are really into modular synthesis gear and also people who don't know what that means, which is me. We also have Jamie. Jamie's here. He's going to play us some songs, some electronic music that he really likes, has a good story behind, means a lot to him. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please subscribe too. We are so close to our goal. We only have 982 more subscribers until we've met our goal. So we're almost there, guys. Almost there. Next week, I think. Anyway, and without further ado, we should talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Frederick Foxtrott, who played that amazing song. I got really into it. It just kept going and going. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah. Can you, first of all, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. I didn't want to talk for a while.
Step one.
No, I didn't want to talk for a while and then have someone be like, "Oh, push the button," because I don't push the button.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a kind of just a riff off of a thief from Life on Mars ? By David Bowie. It's from Hunky Dory. It's probably my favorite. I don't like that. What's that sound? It's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite Bowie song. Certainly my favorite music video. So if, I'll have that in the link in the description for you to listen to. It's really, really good. I'm not exactly sure why I wanted to do a riff off of a Bowie tune tonight, but I decided that would be a little fun.
So what do you guys think about it out there? We got some people here tonight. We've got, so Jamie was here. We've got Mike is here. Tim, what do you guys think about that song? Do you like it?
I am ghastly in my appearance, but that is because I'm sweating to the oldies right there. So what I never realized it before, but I mentioned this while we were doing show notes, but the way it was presented sounded eerily similar to. You guys remember when Zelda 2 came out, and you'd go into the towns? And you'd have to walk like across towns.
I know what you're saying. It's maybe not the same melody, but I certainly.
No, it's not. It's just an eerie reminiscence
Right.
of it, and it was so well captured. I really enjoyed that part of it. It gave me a nostalgic feel both for that and for Bowie, because I was jamming. I was singing over making up bullshit words, and it was phenomenal. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to see how the vocoder.
Oh, the vocoder was so cool. I didn't know you were going to do that. And all of a sudden,
no one knew you could do that.
Yeah, I'll have to hear how that turned out, but I think it's going to sound all right. Yeah, no, I mean that's one of the things about Bowie is he often has like really interesting chord progressions. So sometimes when you're playing a lot of repetitive build-up kind of jammy kind of stuff, it's nice to have like a 7 or 8 chord progression, right? Because then it makes it more interesting, and it makes it more. I really wanted to keep it simple. I think I got a little bit too thick on it, which I can work out a little later. But yeah, I think that it was a kind of a fun, stretched out, kind of dreamy. I want it to be kind of fever dreamy-esque.
There's a cliche now. I mean, I think everyone that even knows anything about music knows of the resolution called the Picardy third, of like the triumph of switching out of a minor key into a major key ending.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bowie's chord progressions at the time, they did that feeling, that emotion that you feel when you hear it leave that minor space, and he can do it in traversal either ways, like a lot of the back and forth or the interesting ways the chord progresses is something that's
I'd have to work.
Unspoken truth about Bowie, which is one of my favorite parts of his music. But
Yeah, I have to work it out exactly what the other key is. It's actually that even that small like 8 chord kind of progression is in 2 keys. Like it changes key in the in the middle of the. It's like by the end anyway. So I think it's F and D. I think it switches between, but I'm not sure. I have to figure that out. But it's like maybe if I can make a demonstration. I don't know. I think I avoided it. I think I avoided the D sharp altogether, so I wouldn't make the mistake. But
I haven't done the scale study of the song, but it might be an interesting thing. It's definitely not like your typical Ionic scale, right?
I think it would be like a Mixolydian. I think I'm not sure exactly, but yeah. So interesting about Life on Mars. Life on Mars is a great song. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite. But one of the things that most people don't know about it is that in 1968, David Bowie, then known as David Jones, was slated to write the English language version of the French language song Comme Habitude, which is like translates as like as usual. But his song was refused by the publishers, and the job was eventually given to this man named, I don't know if actually Frank Sinatra did it, but Frank Sinatra sung it, and it became the song My Way. In fact, those are the same basic songs. And when David Bowie's version was rejected, he later, on Hunky Dory, decided to use the melody that he had kind of come up with. He changed the lyrics quite a bit from his version of the French language song. And you would certainly not necessarily think that My Way and Life on Mars are the same song. But when you hear them together, you actually hear their genetic relationship, so to speak. So I thought it was kind of a cool thing that My Way, which is an iconic song from Frank Sinatra, has a history that is kind of forks in the road with David Bowie, who did Life on Mars. So anyways, I just thought that would be interesting to add as a little bit of history to Life on Mars.
So Jamie, I see that you're in your well-appointed kitchen of your apartment from your undisclosed location. And I know you're in there, you got the camera in there because you have something to play for us tonight that you wanted to share with us. Can you tell me about it and just kind of what the song is, and then we can all listen to it?
So the record I'm going to play is from a dude that I knew in high school, still know. I talked to on a repetitive basis, and his name's Jeff Sfire, and he created a couple tracks. I want to say in the early 2000s, maybe. I've got to do some research, but he was a touring DJ that took sort of that Detroit techno sound over to Germany, and particularly in Berlin, and brought it to the underground like club scene in Berlin. And this is a vinyl of one of so he created a series of tracks, and then these are some remixes that people made of his tracks, and you can still find his original versions of the songs on SoundCloud if you look up Sfire 3 or Sfire 2, so Sfire 3 or 2. 3 is my favorite. This is what that's based on. So I'm going to play this vinyl for you, and you get a sense for this sort of Detroit style he brought over to Germany.
Thank you, Jamie. That was great.
Thank you. Yeah, that is these are the remixes of Just Spire's original songs by Timothy Fairplay and Willie Burns, and that album is hard to find.
Thanks, Jamie. That was great. I can't wait to hear the next one. I think it's really cool. I'm really fired up about it.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for listening.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks again, Jamie. And I think we're on to our next part of the show, which is going to be talking a little bit about the equipment. My assumption had been going into this that synthesizers were powered by magic and or dark sorcery. But instead, it's there's a method and madness behind those wires and those flashing lights, and we're going to learn a little more about it today because Frederick wants to talk about one of his favorite mods on the modular synthesis, the Make Noise Phonogene Euro Rack.
I think every person who has a modular synthesis rig has a favorite piece of equipment that kind of might be the characteristic of their sound, or what is their kind of go-to module. I'm going to go through a quick little explanation of what the module, when I say a module, what that means. And then I'm going to go and talk about the Phonogene, which is my go-to module, and what really kind of the glitchiness that is characteristic of a lot of my sound is a result of interaction with the Phonogene, and also the clouds as well. In general, it's what's called granular synthesis, which is a very specific kind of music making that I hope to kind of share. So as you can see, every screws here, every one of these pieces of hardware actually pops out of this shell, and is powered by a strip inside. That is then that power strip is then plugged into the wall or whatever. The reason why they call it modular is because every rig is different. I can get so many filters, I can get so many oscillators, I can get so many LFOs, all of which some of you may or may not know are components of how synthesis works, and every module and module designer, the people who create the circuits, are always trying to come up with new and innovative ways to change sound and to shape sound. I mean, it's very addictive because you hear of a new sound or a new way to shape the sound, and it's very alluring to try and buy. So it can get kind of expensive very quickly. This actual size is called Eurorack. And what Eurorack means is that it's compact. You're using these 1/8-inch patch cables instead of the large 1/4-inch, almost guitar patch cables that is characteristic of the 5U units. All the old Moog big synthesizers, they all had these massive patch cables, and a lot of synthesizers still have those today. So the Phonogene is, if you can imagine, a cassette tape. Basically, and this is kind of stylistically symbolized by the arrows and directionality. If you can think about your input source is what's actually on the tape, and then you can cut the tape up like an editor and splice it into different parts of the loop. So it's a cassette tape on a loop, and you can cut little splices and rearrange them anywhere you want, and that is the kind of design aesthetic that I think that the designers were going for. And what's really interesting about this is that this kind of looping works on an audio buffer. There's 2 megabytes of memory, and it grabs up the sound, but it doesn't store it as one long wave file. It stores it as 10 to 50 millisecond increments. And these are called, in larger granular synthesis, these are called grains. Or in Phonogene, every edit, so to speak, is called a splice. And then within a splice, there's what's called, they call genes, which are smaller portions of each splice. And the cool thing is I can take a sound and then splice it into 3 different parts, and then play part 1 at a different speed. I can modulate each of the different parts that I splice out. I can modulate them differently. But for now, it's just really important to kind of keep the mindset of a cassette tape. So we're going to put things in, and on the other side, we're going to run it through the clouds. But before we do that, I'm going to kind of show how it works, and I think you'll get fairly quickly. All right, so I'm going to load up a quick sample of the beginning of Nancy Sinatra's "You Only Live Twice" from the Bond film. And then we'll go to work. You know, back in the day when you wanted to take a cassette tape and make a very high fidelity quality recording, you had to use it at a higher speed because it used up more tape. And then if you used it at low speed, you could have a very, very long 2-hour cassette tape, but the quality wasn't as good. And this is a kind of similar thing. The faster it samplers, the more of the 2 megabytes it uses, the shorter amount of actual audio you're able to record. Now, if you wanted to go to a very low fidelity, you can have a much longer kind of span of capturing the audio. So it really depends on if you want to have a very high audio or something, and I'll kind of demonstrate that. But just to kind of, it's an audio buffer that is constantly sampling and picking up those grains and picking up those grains. So this is just a few seconds of it. All right, so one thing you'll notice is that it doesn't go very long. And this right here now, I can actually stretch it out, but when I stretch it out, it'll make it much faster. And if I slow it, if I make it longer, it'll slow it down. And then it's bipolar, which in synthesis means it goes in both directions, positive and negative voltage. So if I add positive voltage to it, it's going to increase in speed. If I add negative voltage to it, it's going to go slower or reverse. So, and as you put more, it goes reverse faster. So I'll just kind of show that real quick. So you can do some live kind of vaporwave kind of stuff, or if you wanted to kind of glitch out some or detuned lo-fi fun stuff there. So. As the sample goes, I can splice it and then add as many splices as I want. And then I can use the organize knob right here to be able to go through and choose which one I'm using. So what this knob right here does is it actually speeds it up in halves. So this is full length. This up here will play it and cut it in half, cut it in fourths, and that is all indicated by the light right there. Now, once it's playing, I can shift through what part of the gene it's playing, and it begins and starts at. So I can actually take each individual gene and make it shorter or longer. And I always talk about automation, and I can actually automate that slide. I can automate what's going on and how it's moving through the gene with an LFO. I actually like it going just into the lowest 5 so I can have as long as possible. And so I'm going to get like maybe 2 full bars of this. So I actually don't use a whole lot of the splicing. If I wanted to, I could splice it like this. So what I'm doing up here is I'm actually bringing it up to the clouds, which is another exactly the same, not exactly the same, but it's another kind of granular synthesis that will then, it's actually really great. A lot of people use it like a reverb or a delay, and it's really not that. It does the same thing. It captures the sound and then allows you to kind of cycle through what are called the grains, the little micro pieces of data. And then as you kind of go really fast, it becomes like this kind of feedbacky cloud that then you can play with. So I'll just kind of demonstrate that.
I ask some? Okay, so the first question is, the modular design of this stuff is has to obviously based around a type of sound musicians were trying to create around the time that they fashioned the devices, right? Because this is analog equipment that you have to manufacture, and so there must have been a musical reason for creating them the way they did, right? There has to be a benefit from that one component that you've been working with here versus the component to its left, which might do a completely different thing. I understand modular design, and I was wondering if you could talk about how particular musicians and their desires at the time, in particular, what they were trying to write and the songs they were trying to create, influenced the design of these modular objects.
Modular synthesis allows you to quickly and easily input and output different kinds of ways to shape the sound. And this is, I think, was by necessity, and I think in the end was something that was a bonus or a positive aspect to modular synthesis, because people found it really easy to switch out things and didn't have to get entire new keyboards. And, you know, if I buy a Moog, right, everything, this has many of the same exact components that a modular synthesizer will. And in fact, if I were to get a camera on it, the different sections, there's a modulation plate, there's a oscillators plate, there's a filters plate, there's an envelope generator, and each one of these things actually has a square block around it, as if to mimic what a module would be. Everything is hardwired. It's all patched still, but it's all hardwired underneath inside. I don't have the ability, if I found another oscillator I want, to put it into my keyboard. So something really awesome about this. In fact, I could take this keyboard below, and I could, through MIDI, back in the day it would have been through another, would have been through pure voltage control, but through MIDI I can actually take my keyboard and put it into here, into the Moog, and play it on like a keyboard. I can actually take this synthesizer and plug it into a keyboard and play it just like anything else. It's just I don't choose to use it that way. The keyboard was just a way to express the tone of the modular synthesis. That's how a keyboard kind of came about. I think a theremin might have been the original. When they were thinking about what was the different ways that you can create tone on a modular synthesizer, they just use a keyboard. It was just a practical way because most people knew how to use a keyboard. They didn't have to do anything else to kind of teach yet another complicated aspect of the machine. It kind of gave this intuitive way to make music on a keyboard, and then that's why it's used.
Wait, so when you manually input the notes and like the relationship between the notes and the keys on the manual input on the Moog, you could be doing that on the keyboard instead if you so choose to. Like, is that
yeah?
You know, when you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah, sure. There's this right here. It's the VCO 1 volt per octave. So if I wanted to, so now just imagine those were keys on a keyboard.
Oh man, that was bananas. Bananas.
Yeah, one of the more eclectic pieces you've played for us in this, for sure. But I really started to dig on it.
Oh, I really, yeah, it really went there.
Well, it's one of those things that like the Phonogene. That's the other thing about like modular is when people think about electronic music, they think about like EDM or like dance music, or it's not something to dance to at all. And the vast majority of like modular music is much more in that vein of clicks and weird sounds. And oftentimes people will just go out to the field, like do field recordings and go out and record a bus going by, or record the flowers in the breeze or something like that. And then they'll come home and then they'll just do like a 2-hour ambient track that will just have the weird sounds like morphing into different sounds. Anyways, it's definitely very fun to do, and yeah, I think I actually forgot to tell you all to get really stoned before this episode.
We will put it in the full description below on the episode, along with links, descriptions of the gear used in this episode, links to the gear, links to Jeff Sfire's music, which we heard earlier this evening. That's all going to be in the full description. So click on it, check it out. Also like and subscribe if you are there watching on YouTube. So close. So 980 away. It's like an NPR fundraiser that never ends. So yeah, so do that if you could. And yeah, and Frederick, thank you so much for playing tonight. It was really cool. I really liked it. I love learning about the synthesizer. I always tell people I know more about the synthesizer than 90% of people, and I know about 5% of it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Eric, you could say why don't you take it? Say goodbye.
Thanks a lot for listening tonight. We'll be back next week. We're going to be playing some more tunes. Come back and listen. We'll have fun. All right, bye.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. I don't give a fuck.